What's up, YouTube? It has been far too long, but I had to come back. We had to talk about Toph, the first metal bender. So one red, green, white. So Naya for a 3/3 legendary creature, human warrior ally. Non-token artifacts you control are lands in addition to their other types. They don't gain the tap for mana ability. At the beginning of your end step, Earthbend 2. What Earthbend is a new mechanic. Target land you control becomes a 0/0 creature with haste that's still a land. You're going to put two +1/+1 counters on it. The important part of this ability is when it dies or is exiled, you return it to the battlefield tapped. So we're going to use this in many different ways. But first and foremost, we got to talk about what the deck does. So right out of the gate, it's a landfall deck. You got a lot of landfall cards in here. But it's also an artifact deck, which is what kind of sets it apart from other landfall decks. We're not running a lot of land ramp. Up first, we got Cultivate and Kodama's Reach, Rampant Growth. You know, just to search for some basics. Get those in there. But then we've got Farseek, Nature's Lore, and 3 Visits. Just to make sure that we hit our colors. It's just some basic ramp. Just to kind of trigger our landfall if Toph's not in play, because Toph makes all of our artifacts lands, and we're going to abuse that. On top of that, we've also got ramp in the form of we've got a Bird of Paradise, just because it's a 1-drop. But then with our artifacts, we've got Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, all the colored signets, and all the colored talismans that go with our color combination. We've also got a Chromatic Lantern, because importantly, Toph's ability does not turn the lands, does not give the lands the ability to tap for mana. So Chromatic Lantern gets around that by giving our lands the ability to tap for mana. On top of that, we've also got Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which does the same thing and allows us to play an additional actual land once per turn. So that's really nice there. That pretty much does it for our ramp that's not landfall based. But since we talked about our landfall, let's talk about the actual landfall triggers that we've got here. First up is the original big bad for landfall decks. We've got Avenger of Zendikar. We all know it. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. And Avenger of Zendikar himself, when he enters, he gives you a 0/1 green plant creature token for each land you control, which if Toph is in play and then we play Avenger of Zendikar, our entire deck will pretty much count as a land, which is great. On top of that, we've got Bristly Bill, landfall, put a counter on, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. You can pay 5 to double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Notably, when we Earthbend, that's putting counters on creatures, so we're going to get to double those up. We've got Lotus Cobra. If you know anything about landfall, you know Lotus Cobra. Landfall, when a land enters, when a land you control enters, add 1 mana of any color. Perfect. Morog, Fury of Akum. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it's attacked this turn. Again, that's not that important. We care about the landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. This is going to trigger so much, and I'll show you why soon. Omnath, Locust of Rage. It's 7 mana, don't freak out. Landfall, when a land you control enters, create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. Again, that's going to trigger so much. Whenever Omnath or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to any target. That's going to trigger a lot, because these tokens are going to be block fodder, because people are going to swing on us, and we don't want that to happen. So it's going to kind of deter it. On top of that, if we amass enough of them, we can just start swinging in, hoping to end the game early. In that same vein, we've got Rampaging Bailoffs, 6 mana, 6/6 trample, landfall. When a land you control enters, create a 4/4 green beast token. We're just creating a ton of tokens. Scoot Swarm, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a 1/1 green insect token. If you control 6 or more lands, which we will because everything is a land, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. This gets exponentially just massive. They may only be 1/1s, but it's hard to block 1,000,000 1/1s, okay? Tireless Provisioner, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, create a food token or a treasure token. We're almost always going to choose treasure token, and I will explain why momentarily. Spring Heart Nantuko. Again, pay attention to this card. We don't care that it's a creature. We care about its bestow ability, which turns it into an enchantment that enchants a creature. Landfall. When a land enters a battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 and a green if Springheart Nantuko is attached to a creature you control. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature. If you didn't create a token this way, create a 1/1 insect instead. So we're going to create copies of whatever it's attached to. We could quick combo here. Spoiler, you can put it on a Lotus Cobra, and anytime you play a land, you're going to play a land, tap the land, get the triggered ability from Lotus Cobra, use that mana as well as the mana produced from the land. You're going to create a copy of Lotus Cobra, and then every land after that, you're just going to net mana like exponentially. It's first time 1 net mana, 2, 3, 4. It's going to give you infinite mana that way. That's a quick combo for you. On top of the landfall, we've also got synergy with Toph, things that just go really well. We've got a Lotus Petal. We can sacrifice it. It's a 0-drop. We sacrifice it to add 1 mana of any color. If we Earthbend this and then sacrifice it, it's going to come back after we sacrifice it, so that's going to give us an additional landfall trigger with Toph in play. Things like that work really well here. Ichor Wellspring, 2 mana. When it enters or goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card. So we're going to cast it, draw a card. We're going to Earthbend it, sacrifice it, draw a card. It's going to enter again. We're going to draw an additional card. So that's great. Mishra's Bauble, 0-drop, sacrifice it. We look at the top card of target player's library, so we can kind of fate seal them a little bit, and then draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. So we can do this. Again, we can Earthbend it, and it'll come back, and we can just keep doing it. One Ring. Don't freak out. Look, guys, we broke the 1 ring. We're going to Earthbend the 1 ring if the burden counters get too high. And we're just going to draw so many cards. We can also Earthbend it to, give us protection. Earthbend it, sacrifice it, whatever, to give us protection until the next turn. So we can just keep doing that. Another good target would be Solemn Simulacrum. 4-drop, 2/2, sad robot. Enters, we get a basic land. When it dies, we draw a card. So it's going to enter, we get a land. We're going to sacrifice it, draw a card. It's going to come back, give us another land, and itself also counts as a land with Toph in play. So that's a lot of... you do this over the course of the game, that's a lot of landfall triggers just for sacrificing it. Haywire Might, same thing, just repeated removal. We're going to Earthbend it, sacrifice it, remove something our opponents control. It's coming back. We're going to do that again next turn. Bright Glass Gear Hulk. It's a 4/4 for 4 first strike trample. When this creature enters, you search your library for up to 2 artifact, creature, and/or enchantment cards with mana value 1 or less. Reveal them, put them in your hand, and then shuffle. It's a landfall trigger, first of all. It's also a tutor. We can search for Birds of Paradise, Mishra's Bauble, Soul Ring, Pebble, Lotus Petal, uh, Hardened Scales we've got in the deck. It can search for that as well. Uh, and it's kind of like a backup for +1/+1 synergies. We've also got Triplicate Titan. It's a 9-drop, 9/9 flying vigilance trample. When it dies, you get a 3/3 golem with flying, a 3/3 golem with vigilance, and a 3/3 golem with trample. If we earthbend this, we're gonna let it die and then have it come back. So we get those tokens and another Triplicate Titan that we can just do again next turn. So you can see Toph is already proving, just from value alone, Toph is beginning to be really scary in its own right. But there's other stuff we can do. Before we get there, I want to talk about, we've got some card draw with Terra Symbiosis. It's a 2 colorless, 1 green. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. You only do this once per turn, but that's very important when we have other things that add on +1/+1 counters, like if you've got Hardened Scales or the Earth Crystal, or even Bristly Bill. You know, when you want to double those counters, when you double those counters, that's putting all those counters on there. So we're gonna draw that many cards. It gets insane. We're gonna draw so many cards with that. I just wanted to talk about that real quick because that is one of our main draw engines in the deck. Of course, we've got the One Ring. We've got Guardian Project as well, and there's 25 creatures in the deck. So that's a lot of card draw over time. I didn't mention in the landfall section, we've got Earthbender Ascension. When this enchantment enters, you're going to Earthbend 2, then search your library for a basic land card, put that card into play. Landfall, when a land you control enters, put a quest counter on this enchantment. When you do, if it has 4 or more quest counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains trample until end of turn. So that's just going to put extra +1/+1 counters. It's really easy to do, really easy to get those quest counters because of landfall. Now, you can't have a Toph deck without more Tophs. So we're going to talk about Toph, Hard-Headed Teacher. 2 colorless, 1 red, 1 green for a 3/4. When it enters, you may discard a card. If you do, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Just some ways to get back some of our other land ramp and or removal. You know, we got a very small removal package, but it's just a good way to get that out. The second ability is what's important. Whenever you cast a spell, Earthbend 1. If that spell's a lesson, which it won't be, put an additional +1/+1 counter on that land. We don't have any lessons in the deck, but just casting a spell and getting that Earthbend 1 is going to really beef up our board here. You know, it's going to turn that Soul Ring into a 1/1 creature, which really helps. Now, big bad of the deck here, Toph, Earthbending Master. 3 colorless, 1 green for a 2/4 landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you get an experience counter. Everyone loves experience counters. Whenever you attack, Earthbend X, where X is the number of experience counters you have. You want to make a really big creature, this is how you make a really big creature. That Earthbend X with that Terra Symbiosis, you want to draw 50, it's possible. That will be a remove on site card for sure. You can do a lot with it. And again, these 2 Tophs, it just gives us extra Earthbend triggers every turn. And as many cards as we can Earthbend in this deck in one turn, the better. Because you get, you know, if you Earthbend a Solemn Simulacrum, a Triplicate Titan, and a Haywire Might all in one turn, your opponent's going to be scared. But the reason why everyone comes to Toph is that Earthbend ability. So we've got Annie joins up. It's a 1 and Naya. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. So we don't care. The important part is if a triggered ability of a legendary creature you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. So with all 3 Tophs in play and Annie joins up Magical Christmas Land, we're earthbending 6 times in a turn. That's scary. That's very scary. So, what makes Toph really scary? I mean, we've talked about a lot of synergy here, but what makes Toph different from just any other landfall deck? Well, we've got 2 cards specific here. We've got the Stasis Coffin. It's a 3 colorless legendary artifact. You pay 2, tap it, exile the Stasis Coffin. You gain protection from everything until your next turn. That's a one-time effect, unless you earthbend it. Using, Toph, obviously. Or anyone else for that matter. You can earthbend Stasis Coffin, exile it, you gain protection until your next turn. It comes back into play, you earthbend it in any other way, you get that return clause, you exile it to give it protection, or to give yourself protection until your next turn. It comes back into play, and you do it again. Repeatedly. The only way that your opponents can stop you from doing this is to remove everything you have that earthbends anything. So, as long as you've got something that can earthbend, your opponents are going to be scared. Another card your opponents are going to be scared of is Mindslaver. If you've been in the game long enough, you know Mindslaver. You hate Mindslaver, and we are breaking it once again. 6 colorless, legendary artifact. Pay 4 and tap. Sacrifice Mindslaver. You control target player's next turn. The turn you play this, you have to use it. Target the scariest opponent and control them for the rest of the game. And if you go 1 turn without doing it, I promise you they will make you regret it. Everyone's going to hate you the second you play this card, but that's fine because you're Toph and you want people to hate you. So that kind of does it for that section. But there are a few combos that we can do that are infinite combos with Toph. One of them doesn't use Toph specifically, so we'll talk about that first. We have Ashaya, Soul of the Wild. It's a 5-cost star. Ashaya, Soul of the Wild's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, which is going to be huge because everything is land. Non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. Again, everything is land. So we've got that. Great. Turns our creatures into lands. We also have another new card from the set, Boomy Eclectic Earthbender. 5-drop 4/4. Legendary creature, obviously. When Boomy enters Earthbend 1. Whenever Boomy attacks, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each land creature you control. So Boomy is going to enter. Ashaya is going to say that Boomy is a creature land. Boomy is going to Earthbend itself. So if Boomy leaves, it returns to play. Enter our combo card for the deck. Zurin Orb, 0-drop artifact. Sacrifice a land, you gain 2 life. So we're going to have Ashaya in play. Zurin Orb in play. We're going to cast Boomy. Boomy is going to enter. He's going to Earthbend himself, turning himself, or giving himself that return clause. We're going to sacrifice him, gain 2 life. He's going to come back, Earthbend himself, sacrifice him, comes back in. This is going to give us infinite life, first of all. We can do this as many times as we want to, but it's also, if we have anything else with landfall in play, it's going to trigger that as many times as we want. If it's Tanuk or the Sabatender, GG, you won the game. It can also give us infinite mana with Lotus Cobra or Springheart and Nantuku. We can just make copies of anything. So there's that. It doesn't require Toph at all. So that's a good backup if Toph has been removed too much and Toph costs 20 mana. You don't want to cast it again because it's just going to be counterspelled and you don't want to deal with that. But a combo using Toph, and then you've got Toph in play. We're going to have Springheart Nantuko. Okay. As well as Lotus Cobra. We don't need Zurin Orb for this combo. So this is good to have if someone recognizes that Zurin Orb is your main value piece and they want to remove it. You can do this without Zurin Orb. With Toph in play, you're going to animate a land. Go on to your next turn. Don't do anything to that land. You want that land. Next turn, you're going to use Springheart Nantuko's ability, bestow ability, to attach itself, enchant that land that you just animated. So now you have an enchanted, it would be a 3/3 land. Then you're going to have Lotus Cobra in play. You're going to play a land, which is going to trigger Lotus Cobra to give you an additional mana of any color. And then you're going to tap that land, or it's also going to trigger Springheart Nantuko's ability. With that trigger on the stat, you're going to tap the land that you just played to activate or to pay for the cost of Springheart Nantuko's ability to create a copy of the land that it's enchanting. This is going to give you another landfall trigger for the Lotus Cobra and the Springheart Nantuko. You're going to tap that land that you just created, and you're going to loop this as many times as you want. Infinite landfall triggers. It's also going to give you infinite land tokens, so you're going to have a massive board of lands for something like Ashaya, who cares about how many lands you have in play. Avenger of Zendikar is going to go off of this a crazy amount. And it pretty much wins the game right there on the spot. So those are the two super scary combos in the deck. I didn't want to put too many in because I didn't want it to be CEDH level if that was at all possible. But bracket 3, bracket 4, that's a good spot. So far, this is a bracket 3 deck that can definitely compete in bracket 4. It doesn't really have any game changers in it except for the One Ring, and that can be taken out. But just having combos in here makes it a bracket 3, but it can absolutely hold its own against a bracket 4. So that's Toph. We love Toph. Everybody hates Toph, and Toph does not care that everybody hates Toph. But we love Toph for it. So, yeah, get out there, play Toph. If you do, be warned, it's going to be public enemy number 1. You're going to be the problem at the table, at any table you go to. Talk real quick about liquid metal coating and liquid metal torque. They can turn Toph into an artifact so that Toph can earthbend himself or earthbend herself. So that if it's a little bit of removal protection, but we just need to include that there. So, if you like this deck tech, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can be alerted, all that good YouTube talk. Comment down below. Let me know any other deck techs that you want me to do, and I will absolutely see you in the next one. Bye.